My name is Ed Van Istendal. I'm the grandson of Edward Holtzhauser Walton Jr., co-author of the Glassboro Story. I was born in 1950, raised in Camden, New Jersey. My dad then took a job in Pennsylvania. We moved to Montgomery County. I lived most of my life in Bucks County, and now here I am in Chester County, working my way west as so many of my forebears did before me. That was a project that consumed most of his adult life. This is something we really didn't talk about before. He grew up knowing the relatives of many of the founding fathers of Glassboro. He knew their sons and daughters and offspring and went to school with them. He was raised in the town. And even as a young man, one of the things that he did was take oral histories from these people on steno pads with pencil that are now with the Gloucester County Historical Society as part of the Ed Walton collection. There's some valuable genealogical information in them, a lot of begats, a lot of great information. I remember him, one of his best friends was one of the Izzard boys, and of course Izzard's a pretty common Glassboro name. His Sunday school teacher was Mrs. Stanger, and just so many great connections there. But he had a love for the town, and this research of the town and finding out more about the town and collecting the photographs and the stories became his passion and evolved into the creation of the book. And Dr. Boll, of course, had an interest as well and provided a very steady hand in helping to keep all the research headed in the same direction and help put it together as a manuscript and keep it organized. Everybody in Glassboro knew Ed Walton. Of course, he had been raised there. The town was still a small town in those days. Rowan University literally didn't exist at that point. It was Glassboro Normal School, of which my grandmother was an attendee at one point. But everybody knew him, and he knew everybody. And they all knew he had this love of the history of Glassboro. So as people would run across old pictures or old church bulletins and anything that mentioned something old in Glassboro, Ed Walton was the guy that they would seek out, which was kind of cool. So he amassed quite a collection of great pictures, and a lot of those were used in the Glassboro Story. Many of them were used in the later newspaper articles that appeared, which I found fascinating. But he stayed in Glassboro most of his life, and it wasn't until, I think, 1966 that he and my grandmother moved to Clayton. Back in the days when grocery stores were practically non-existent. There were company stores, there were small general stores, but there were still a lot of specialty crafts being done. For example, there was a pieman. There were a couple of bakeries in Glassboro, I do know that, but there was a pieman that would come and sell pies from a wagon. And sometimes a housewife would call from her porch, "I'd like a cherry pie, please," or whatever. And so he would come down off the cart, tie the reins off on the brake, and take the cherry pie in. And it was great fun for the boys of the neighborhood to follow along behind the wagon and steal a pie. On a hot day, they would try to find where the iceman was making his deliveries. Now, ice in those days was typically not made in a freezer. People didn't have refrigerators. Some people had ice boxes, and those ice boxes kept things cold. Because cold air falls, the top compartment of an ice box is where you would put a large chunk of ice. Then you would keep a bottle of milk, a pie, whatever needed to be kept cold would be in one of the lower compartments so that cold air would fall. And of course, as the ice melted, it would drip into a pan at the very bottom, not soaking the contents of the icebox. So our term icebox today comes from icebox. He was just the pest. I don't remember ever being hollered at by him. We did projects together. He taught me how to collect stamps. He taught my brother how to collect coins. We built things. We did things. He was always there. He made himself a presence in our lives. Ed had very delicate skin and absolutely hated to be out in the sun and exposed. He was always covered up. I can recall being at the beach with him and the family, and he was there. We'd have a beach umbrella set up. He'd have a wooden framed canvas chair to sit on, and he'd position himself so that he was totally out of the sun and completely covered up, shoes, socks, long pants, long sleeves, the whole thing. Just hated getting sunburned. Had his legs crossed one day, and as the sun moved around, as it's wont to do, his one ankle became exposed to the sun, and he got sunburned. You might have thought somebody cut his leg off. All he did was complain about that for the couple of days it took for the sunburn to calm down. It's like we all get sunburned on a regular basis, or at least we did then. Today we know better, we use sunblock, but back then we just ran around and got sunburned all the time. So I'll probably die of skin cancer. Anyway, there he was, 6'2", 225, big hands, booming voice, gentle soul, and always took real good care of us grandkids. We were his favorite.